The moment the truth began slipping through the cracks, Prince Harry didn't look like a royal anymore. He looked like a man watching his entire reality collapse in real time. Because behind the polished smiles, behind the fairy tale headlines, and behind the carefully staged love story that captivated the world, there was something darker quietly breathing beneath the surface. And the name at the center of it all was Markus Anderson. The same Markus who wasn't just a friend. The same Markus who wasn't just a socialite. But Markus, the silent gatekeeper who knew every secret Meghan Markle had buried long before she ever touched a royal crown. And when whispers began spreading that he had finally exposed fragments of Meghan's secret life, Harry's emotional reaction wasn't just shock, it was devastation. Because suddenly, everything he thought he knew about the woman who rewrote his destiny was being questioned. That's when insiders began connecting the dots no one wanted to see. Because Meghan Markle didn't just appear out of nowhere as an innocent Hollywood actress who accidentally fell into a prince's arms. No. According to those who lived in the shadows of her past, Meghan was already deeply embedded in a world where influence mattered more than innocence, where access was currency, and where Markus Anderson held the keys to doors most people would never even know existed. This wasn't just friendship. This was infrastructure. This was strategy. Markus wasn't simply running memberships at Soho House. He was orchestrating proximity. He knew who mattered. He knew who didn't. And most importantly, he knew who was ready to be elevated. Soho House wasn't just a private club. It was a sanctuary for secrets. A velvet-wrapped fortress where billionaires, celebrities, and power players disappeared from public scrutiny. No cameras, no leaks, no consequences. Inside those walls, reputations were manufactured, and identities could be reinvented overnight. And Meghan didn't just attend Soho House. She thrived there. She understood it. She adapted to it. She became fluent in its silent language of influence. People who watched closely noticed something chilling. She didn't behave like someone trying to enter the system. She behaved like someone mastering it. Markus saw that, and Markus helped shape it. He didn't just introduce her to people. He curated her path. He placed her exactly where she needed to be. Toronto became ground zero for Meghan's transformation. It wasn't London. It wasn't Hollywood. It was Toronto, where her role in Suits gave her just enough fame to access elite circles without attracting overwhelming scrutiny. And right there, inside Soho House, Toronto, she wasn't just another actress hoping to be noticed. She was becoming something else entirely. Someone insiders described as calculated, precise, and socially strategic. She wasn't chasing opportunities. Opportunities were being positioned around her. Private dinners, carefully curated guest lists, strategic introductions. And Markus was always nearby, watching, guiding, protecting. He wasn't loud. He wasn't obvious. But his presence was constant. He was the architect behind the scenes, ensuring every move aligned with a larger picture no one fully understood at the time. And then came the moment that changed everything forever. Summer of 2016. Prince Harry, emotionally vulnerable, exhausted by years of public scrutiny, quietly entered the same elite network Meghan had already mastered. He wasn't looking for power. He was looking for escape. He was looking for privacy. He was looking for someone who understood how to shield him from the chaos he'd lived with since childhood. And that's exactly what Meghan appeared to offer. Not just affection, but protection. Not just romance, but refuge. She knew how to create bubbles of secrecy. She knew how to navigate elite environments without triggering attention. She knew how to make powerful people feel safe. And for Harry, safety had become the most seductive promise of all. But here's where the story turns from romance into revelation. Because insiders claim that Markus didn't just witness Meghan's rise, he witnessed her reinvention. They say he watched as pieces of her past were quietly erased. Old friendships vanished. Digital footprints disappeared. Entire chapters of her previous identity faded into silence. The TIG, her lifestyle blog that once exposed her personal tastes, opinions, and connections, suddenly vanished from existence. Social media accounts that once showed her authentic personality were replaced with curated, controlled, sanitized versions. It wasn't random. It wasn't accidental. It was systematic. It was deliberate. It was surgical. And Markus knew exactly what was being removed and why. Because the closer Meghan moved toward royal life, the more dangerous her past became. And that's when rumors began surfacing that Markus had started talking. Not publicly, not directly, but through whispers, through people connected to him. him, through fragments that painted a picture completely different from the fairy tale the world had been sold. A picture of a woman who didn't just stumble into royalty, but navigated her way there through elite social engineering. And when Harry began hearing those whispers connected to the man who had once been Meghan's closest ally, it hit him harder than anyone expected, because this wasn't coming from strangers. This was coming from the gatekeeper who had seen everything from the beginning. Harry wasn't just facing public pressure. He was facing private doubt. And doubt is far more dangerous than scandal, because scandal attacks your image. Doubt attacks your trust. And when trust begins cracking inside a marriage built under global scrutiny, the emotional fallout becomes impossible to hide. Insiders described moments where Harry appeared withdrawn, conflicted, emotionally shaken, not angry, not defensive, but wounded. Because if Marcus knew secrets Meghan never told him, then the foundation of everything he sacrificed his royal life for suddenly felt uncertain. And that uncertainty carried a weight heavier than any crown ever could. What makes this story even more chilling is Markus Anderson's silence. He hasn't confirmed anything, he hasn't denied anything. He simply exists quietly, watching as speculation grows louder. And in elite circles, silence isn't innocence. Silence is power. Silence means leverage. Silence means the truth is too valuable to waste recklessly. Because the moment everything is spoken openly, everything changes forever. And now, behind closed doors, the question that haunts Prince Harry isn't just who Meghan was, but whether he ever truly knew her at all. Because when a man realizes the woman he trusted may have lived an entirely different life before him, the heartbreak isn't public. It's deeply personal. And those tears weren't just about exposure, they were about realization. The moment the whispers refused to die, Prince Harry found himself trapped in a nightmare no royal training could have ever prepared him for. Because this wasn't the press attacking him. This wasn't strangers inventing lies. This was something far more terrifying. This was the slow realization that the woman he had trusted with his entire life may have been living two parallel realities. And Markus Anderson was the silent witness to both. Markus wasn't speaking publicly. He wasn't giving interviews. He wasn't writing books. But the fragments leaking through elite social circles were enough to send shockwaves straight into Harry's emotional core. Because Markus wasn't just another friend. He was the architect of Meghan's social world before Harry ever existed in it. He had watched her rise from a television actress navigating Toronto's elite nightlife to becoming the woman who would ultimately stand beside a prince and dismantle centuries of royal tradition. And when someone like Markus knows your origin story, they don't just know facts, they know intentions, they know motivations, they know the version of you that existed before the crown rewrote your identity. What made this even more disturbing was the timing. Because the moment Meghan's relationship with Harry became public, insiders noticed something unsettling. People who had once been part of her inner circle were suddenly gone. Not gradually, not naturally, abruptly. Messages unanswered, calls ignored, doors quietly closed, entire friendships erased like they had never existed. Individuals who once attended private dinners with her suddenly found themselves completely cut off from her new reality. And this wasn't just emotional distancing. This was structural distancing, the kind designed to eliminate any unpredictable variables. Because unpredictability is dangerous when your entire future depends on maintaining a flawless narrative. Markus saw this transformation unfold in real time. He saw the shift from Meghan the social climber to Meghan the royal fiancé. And with every layer she shed, she moved further away from the world Markus had once controlled. But Markus didn't lose visibility. He remained in the shadows, observing, silent, present. Harry, meanwhile, was making sacrifices no royal had ever made before. He walked away from his family. He walked away from royal protection. He walked away from his country. He walked away from everything he had ever known for her, because he believed in her. He believed in their love. He believed in their shared mission. But belief becomes fragile when confronted with uncertainty. And uncertainty began creeping in the moment fragments of Meghan's past started resurfacing. Not publicly, not officially, but privately. Through conversations, through warnings, through people who knew Markus, people who trusted Markus, people who understood that Markus wasn't reckless, he wasn't emotional, he wasn't dramatic, he was calculated, which meant if information was circulating through his orbit, it wasn't accidental, it was intentional, and Harry knew that. There were moments insiders described where Harry appeared emotionally exhausted, not physically tired, but mentally drained, because once doubt enters enters your mind, it multiplies. Every memory becomes questionable. Every moment becomes subject to reinterpretation. Every truth becomes unstable. Harry wasn't just questioning Meghan's past. He was questioning his own judgment. Because if Markus had seen a version of Meghan Harry never knew existed, then what else had been hidden? What else had been curated? What else had been strategically removed before Harry ever had the chance to see it? The pain wasn't public. It wasn't visible in headlines. But it was real. It lived in silence. It lived in private conversations. It lived in the emotional distance that slowly grows when trust begins fracturing beneath the surface. And yet Markus remained silent, completely silent, which made everything worse. Because confirmation would have created closure. Denial would have created relief. But silence created ambiguity. And ambiguity is psychological torture. Because silence allows imagination to fill the gaps. Silence allows fear to construct its own narrative. Silence allows doubt to evolve into belief. Markus didn't need to say anything. His silence spoke louder than words ever could. Because Markus wasn't just protecting himself, he was protecting the ecosystem he had spent decades building. An ecosystem built on discretion, built on secrecy, built on power. At the same time, Meghan continued moving forward with her new identity, public appearances, carefully controlled messaging, humanitarian initiatives. Everything aligned with the image of a royal survivor who had escaped institutional oppression. And to the public, it looked convincing. It looked authentic. It looked heroic. But behind the scenes, Harry was facing something no camera could capture: emotional isolation. Because once you begin questioning the person closest to you, there is nowhere safe left to stand. There is no safe conversation. There is no safe memory. Everything becomes emotionally unstable. And Harry had already burned every bridge behind him. He couldn't return to his royal family. He couldn't undo his choices. He couldn't reverse time. He was trapped inside the life he had chosen with the person he had chosen, while privately confronting questions he never thought he would have to ask. Some insiders believe Harry's tears weren't caused by betrayal. They were caused by realization. Because realization carries a different kind of pain. Betrayal is violent. Realization is quiet. It unfolds slowly. It forces you to confront truths at your own pace. And when the realization involves the person you trusted most, it reshapes your entire emotional reality. Harry wasn't just grieving a possibility, he was grieving certainty. Because certainty had been replaced with doubt. And doubt had been introduced by the one man who knew Meghan's past better than anyone else: Markus Anderson. Even now, Markus continues living his life exactly as he always has: quiet, private, untouchable. He doesn't confirm, he doesn't deny. He simply exists beyond the reach of public scrutiny. Because Markus doesn't need headlines. He doesn't need attention. He already possesses something far more powerful. He possesses knowledge. And knowledge is leverage. Knowledge is control. Knowledge is insurance. And as long as Markus remains silent, the mystery remains alive. The unanswered questions remain open. And Prince Harry remains trapped between the woman he loves and the secrets he may never fully understand. Because in the end, the most dangerous secrets aren't the ones exposed to the world. They're the ones whispered behind closed doors, where the truth lives quietly, waiting for the moment everything finally collapses. Everything finally collapses.